In this video, I'm going to walk you through the pre-sale touch points for our hypothetical cleaning company, Shine and Smile Eco Clean. And I'm going to show you through those touch points how we've built out some of the stuff on the back end within HubSpot. The previous video showed you a lot about what happens from the client's perspective, but what we're going to do is take a look behind the scenes and show you how some of these things are broken down and built out so that you can take them and replicate them. If you need help implementing any of this stuff, that's what I do. My name is Ryan Schweihart, founder of Whole Heart Impact, where I help organizations consolidate their client operations into HubSpot. So we'll dive right in. This is the client touchpoint map that we were looking at previously in some of the previous videos. We will start with the referral piece. So the first thing is the website homepage. We'll touch on the homepage, but this is applicable for not only the homepage, but the about page and careers page, whatever else you want to set up on your website. To get here, we come into what is now, they just redid the navigation, but it's in the content piece currently and the website pages. So go ahead and select here. And then what I had done is gone to this create piece and created the page that way. So we've got our home page, and a lot of the stuff is just drag and drop. So there's a lot of modules that are built out. I'm just using the free growth theme. There are some other themes that are out there that are paid that or free that you could grab from the marketplace, and that makes building out your website and doing all that much easier. So if you need to add a module, just hit this plus button and go ahead and drag and drop the module wherever you need it. There's this sections piece that gives you a little bit more of a template to essentially drag and drop wherever you want. If I were to click plus here in this situation, that would be adding a new section, or again, you can drag and drop. As far as layouts go, you can customize the column layout and stuff. But yeah, you'll just build out whatever you need. The rich text editor is one that's fairly common, using images, buttons, forms. If you have a pre-built form, that could be helpful. Whenever you click on something, it gives you more optionality. So in this case, we've got our free estimate form here. This is a link to that form. I just went ahead and hovered over this, click clone module to duplicate that once I had it built out. And so I put one of the buttons here, and then I have the form expanded here, so it's not necessarily a button. Someone could put in their information, hit next, and go about submitting the form. So that's kind of just a high level. I'm not going to get too in the weeds of building out the website page or things like that. But one of the things that I do want to point out is be sure whenever you're building your website and putting together the different pages that you pay attention to the mobile and the desktop views, the legibility, the readability. Sometimes, depending on the formatting, some white text can get over a lighter background, causing text that's not readable and things like that. And if you don't have the data already, as you continue to have traffic to your website, you'll start to understand where most of your visitors are coming from, specifically whether it's desktop or mobile. And depending on which one's the predominant access point for your visitors, really pay attention to that piece. Typically, you're going to be designing the homepage and your website on a desktop, so you're going to have a pretty good look and feel for what it's like on a desktop version. But if you find that your website traffic is 80% mobile or something to that effect, really pay attention to viewing it on your phone, viewing it on even other people's phones, different layouts, different resolutions as best you can to really try to get a feel for what your customers are experiencing. So that's pretty much it for the high level overview. I'm not going to get too in the weeds. There's help articles out there and stuff of really dialing in your website design and building it out. The next piece that we have here is a snippet. And so I'll click on that. This is a referral text that if you do have a formalized referral program, you may start to have some pre-built text that's available for people, pre-built emails that are available for people to send. And so the snippets here are a great way to create a block of text that can even have personalization tokens and stuff that can that you can utilize later on down the line to drive consistency and kind of, yeah, good good brand voice and alignment in that regard. So the way to get there is just in the CRM piece, and all the way down at the bottom is the snippets section. One other bonus tip that I'll throw out, we don't have a formalized referral program built out quite yet in this example use case, and don't really plan to have it, at least in this initial set of videos. But if you were to go that route, I'd highly recommend leveraging associations and association labels. Um, and so typically what you're going to do that at a contact to contact level. A person refers another person. And then you can leverage other associations within HubSpot to kind of track businesses that are involved, deals that are involved. But it really hinges on that contact to contact referral association. I'm going to dive in and give you a look at what that would look like in the settings panel. Scroll down on the left, go to objects and contacts, then click on the associations tab, and then the contacts to contacts drop down here in the select object association. Basically what I've done is a referrer, the person that's making the referral, and a referee, the essentially person being referred. And so the label limits, you'll probably want to set these up this way, just because there's really only going to be probably one person that's referring another person. So on the referrer piece, I have a custom label limit of 1, but on the referee, there can be many contacts that have the label referee. So it's just a little housekeeping thing to help make sure that the associations are getting done and applied appropriately. So how that would look in practice, if we go to contact CRM contacts and click on one of these, then we will see this association piece on the right. So for Daniel Rose, we can see the association options here on the right. What we want to do is say that Daniel Rose is referring, I don't know, Janet Garcia. So we'll go ahead and select that, and then add association label, and then you'll want to make sure that you have the appropriate label set up here. So Daniel was actually the referrer, so we need to switch that, select the other one. And so we've got Daniel Rose as a referrer and Janet Garcia as a referee, and we'll click save. So then we've got Daniel Rose and Janet Garcia. Janet Garcia is a referee. If we hop over to Janet's contact record, we can see that she's associated with Daniel, and Daniel is the referrer. By doing this, we can start to really consolidate and roll up the referral tracking. That's outside the scope of this video, but really wanted to highlight that, because if you're thinking about tracking referrals and doing something like that, leveraging HubSpot, that's the route that I'd recommend going. So the next piece is the free estimate. This is where I'll spend a bulk of the video, and the first piece is setting up the form. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the form that people fill out on the website. Then that will go to a Zap and Zapier that will calculate that estimate amount. And then I'll show you the email piece and then the workflow that ultimately sends that email. So we'll start with the form. Again, these are all linked in the Touchpoint map or client map, Touchpoint portion of the client map, and makes it easy once you build it out to get back to troubleshoot and that type of thing. But in order to get there, it is in the marketing piece, and then click on forms, and then you have a list of forms, and you can either create or edit from there. So we'll go ahead and hop into the edit form piece. This is a newer form editor. that gives you the multi-step option. Previously, HubSpot just had one page that could be your form. Now you can create multiple steps. Basically, all that we have is the first and last name, email that's being collected, street address, city, state, and postal code are not being collected, or are being collected but are not required. Square footage is required. Cleaning type is required. These are used in the calculation for the estimate. Cleaning add-ons are optional. And then there's a privacy setting that you may or may not want to enable. Highly recommend that you do them. So then you have a thank you portion that you can customize as well once the form is submitted. You can kind of brand this to some extent. So it's kind of like building, your website where you've got these modules that you can drag and drop. Your options are limited, but basically whenever you're capturing information from a form, you'll need to have it mapped to more essentially a contact property, a company property, or a ticket property. Most of what we have going in is a contact property today, and then some of that information will kind of sync over or feed over into the deal whenever we get there. But yeah, that's essentially it. If you do need to create properties, you'll just hop out of the form, go to settings, scroll down on the left, properties. You're going to be on contact properties by default whenever you navigate here, and create your property, go through the steps in the form. There's lots of resources about property types and um, how to create them. Depending on which one you selected, you can set up rules that either prevent or force certain formatting and stuff within the responses. So definitely keep an eye out for the customization and capabilities there. But as far as the form itself, that's pretty much it. Then whenever you create it, you have the option to embed it on your website or just get a link and share it that way. So a lot of functionality, flexibility there. You can see that there's some performance tracking that occurs and stuff like that with your form itself. The next piece is the estimate zap. And so basically what we've done is whenever a new form is submitted, that's going to be our trigger step in Zapier. So we have our cleaning estimate form that we just created. That will be our form submission. It's going to split into paths based on the cleaning type. So we have our standard clean, our deep clean, and our move in, move out clean. So going back to the form, I didn't quite highlight this the first time. Let's edit the form. And so based on the cleaning type, we have 3 different options. That's essentially what we're going to path on in the Zap itself. So whenever cleaning type exactly matches standard clean, we're going to go down this path. This is a path we'll focus on. Essentially, these are the same. If anything, the standard clean's a little bit more built out than the deep clean and move in, move out clean, just for demonstration purposes. But we'll use the get product step. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the product from HubSpot that's selected. I toggled into the edit mode so that it's easier to click through and navigate. But basically this get product step is getting our standard clean product from HubSpot. And so within HubSpot, if we hop out of here and go to our products, so we'll go into commerce and products, and then we have our standard clean. This is the record ID that is being looked up in the Zap itself. So you'll see that maps there. And then if you were to click on this, the other piece that we have is a price per square foot. And so in this case, it's 12 cents per square foot. It's kind of how we have it set up to then calculate based on the square footage. Our deep clean is 16 cents per square foot, and our move in, move out clean is 20 cents per square foot. So just arbitrary numbers more or less, but that's how we have it built out. So once we get that product information, We're also going to get the add-ons that were selected in the form itself. So I'll highlight that as well to show you what that looks like. So in the form, whenever we're building out the properties, really, there's this cleaning add-on. Whenever we built out the property, there's the optionality to put in a label that sits on top and a value that sits underneath for this specific setup in order to leverage kind of Zapier and the route that we went for the calculation. I've got the, fridge clean, oven clean, windows clean, all that sitting as a label on top. But then the actual product that it's tied to within HubSpot, that record ID is put as the underlying value. So again, in order to get that, we have the fridge clean here, the oven clean. It's this record ID that lines up with that product. In order to see that record ID, you can click on this, view all properties, and get it that way. Or you can edit the product table, the columns for the product table, search for record ID, check it, and you can drag and drop to reorder the columns as needed. So those are the cleaning add-ons that come through. There's a code step here that is basically getting the add-ons ready for retrieving the information from HubSpot. And then this get add-on information is basically taking the output and getting all the add-on prices for the most part. And then we have a code step or a formatter step to put these add-ons into a string for the estimate. So they kind of come as line items. We're going to put those into a string. And then we're calculating in step 8 here our base estimate. So this is basically a formatter step using the spreadsheet style formula. So we've got the formatter step, numbers as an action event, and then spreadsheet style formula. We've got round down to just round it to the nearest whole number. And then we've got our square footage from the form as well as multiplied by the price per square foot. Then we're going to add any add-on prices. And so that's what this step 9 here is. We've got our output from step 8, the best base estimate, and then we're adding the add-ons from the previous step. Then basically we want to find the contact in HubSpot that was either created or has already been created from the form submission. We're just going to look them up by email. So email is a required property whenever the form is submitted, and then that's how we'll find that contact record. Then we're going to go ahead and create a deal. So as far as the overall structure, each house or each property is going to be a deal in HubSpot, and then that house or property is going to be associated with the contact or contacts if it's a family or spouse couple type of deal. You may have both of them in there in your CRM in HubSpot, and they could be associated with this one deal or property. So that's what's happening here. We're going to create the deal, and then we're going to input. Let's see if I've got, we can leverage information to take their last name, first name, their address, and put that as the deal name. We're going to put it in our cleaning pipeline. It's going to go into the estimate requested stage, and then we've got an estimate amount that we're also going to put in there. Then we're going to go ahead and create a line item for the standard clean in this case. So the way HubSpot works, you have your products that you can build out your product library, and then whenever you're ready to associate those products essentially to say a deal, for example, you're going to associate those as line items. So whenever you go to add line items to a deal, you can select them from the product library, which is highly recommended. And whenever you do that, those products become a line item. Essentially, it gets a new unique HubSpot record ID that it can be utilized and whatnot for tracking purposes, but it's that product that now becomes a line item, a separate, record in HubSpot, and it's attached or associated to the deal. So that's all we're doing in this step is creating that standard clean as product as a line item. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and associate that line item that we just created into the deal that we had created in step 11. So that's what this create association step is doing. It's going ahead and getting the record ID from the created deal, and we're also going to associate it to the contact that we had found from step 10. So we're going to associate the deal with the contact. We're going to associate the line item with the deal, and that's all happening in this step. Then we will have a filter condition to basically say if there were add-ons, we want to go ahead and create line items for those as well. And so in order to do that kind of all in one step, what we're going to do is do that in a separate Zap. So this is a little tip or trick that can be handy, is to leverage webhooks by Zapier. And so in this instance, what we do is we set up a separate Zap that's going to send some information from the existing Zap, and then it can kind of process on its own. The reason I went this route is because whenever we hop over into that other Zap, I would need to create that same thing for each one of these paths. Instead, I can just kind of duplicate this post step, this webhook step, and send that information and only manage one path instead of, in this case, it would need to be 3 paths that we would need to manage. So that's what's happening here. We've got a post type or event of the webhook step, and we're going to send over the deal ID as well as the product add-ons from step 6 in this case. This webhook URL you're going to get from the other Zap that we set up. So let's go back here, and we've got our add add-ons to deal. So the trigger step for this is catch a hook or catch hook, and it's a webhook by Zapier step. So whenever you're setting this up, you'll basically just go through, select webhooks by Zapier, catch hook, and then the configure piece, you can skip that. And then whenever you go to the test portion, you'll get a webhook URL that you can grab, and that's what you'll put in the step in the other Zap. So basically, you're going to create a loop from the line items. If there's just one, it'll loop through that one. If there's, in our case, we have 4 options. If there's all 4, it'll loop through each one of those. And so essentially, to configure that, we've got our add-ons as the values to loop, and we're mapped to the product add-ons from the previous step. We've got a comma as our delimiter, and I just leave it as 1 to 500. Then we're going to create a line item. So similar to how we took the standard clean product and created line items for those, we're going to do the same thing for our add-ons. We've got our add-on products in the product library in HubSpot, and we're going to create a line item for those and associate them with the deal. So we've got our output from the looping step, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I've got the quantity mapped as well. Yeah, so essentially we're going to have 1 fridge clean or 1 oven clean type of thing. So that's hard coded. You may have that as an input field if you really want to. You know, if they have multiple fridges or something like that, you may not want to do 1, but for demonstration purposes, I just hard coded it in there. Then once that line item is created, we want to go ahead and associate it with the deal. So we brought over the deal from the other Zap. We'll go ahead and map to that as the ID that's being associated. Follow the kind of prompts to build the rest of this out, and then you'll map your line item ID as the line item that you're associating. So that's pretty much it for the Zap itself. Then the email piece, hop over into HubSpot, and where we're at here is the marketing and email piece of HubSpot. We've gone ahead and created the email. In the edit email piece, we've got some name replace, personalization tokens, some verbiage here. We've got our estimate from the deal. So if we were to click in here and edit it, we have the opportunity to pick our token where we want it to come from. We've got the deal in this case, and then you select your property, get the estimated amount. For fallback value, I just put in kind of a blank placeholder. Then we also sending the cleaning type, so standard clean in our example. And that's pretty much it. You modify the settings as needed. And right now for sending, it's going to be sent through automation. So whenever you're going through the setup piece, I think it has like a type of email that you want to set up. And so you'll want to select kind of the automation option or whatever the capability is to use it in workflows. So that's pretty much it on the email setup. Kind of go through that quick. And then the workflow itself, in order to get to workflows in HubSpot, it's over here on the left, workflows. Then you'll create a workflow. This structure is kind of changing too a little bit. So depending on when you see this, it may look a little bit different, but the workflow that we have set up is basically whenever a record is created, and so we're triggering off of deals essentially. So we've got deal object types whenever that deal is created, and it, an added filter if you have multiple pipelines in your CRM is that the deal stage is estimate requested. It's going to go ahead and enroll the deal. And I think, yeah, I don't have re-enrollment on. I don't think you really want re-enrollment, but that's something to always consider and think about. Then what I have is a 1 minute delay just to not have it send so quickly. And I guess the other piece is to make sure all the line items are added from the other Zap process that we have going on, because the deal is created in the Zap kind of later on, but there's still some steps that need to run. I think the minimum that we can really delay in a workflow is 1 minute. I don't know if you can put in 0.5 or something, but yeah, it just makes sure that everything's done, all the add-on line items and stuff are added to the deal before it grabs that calculated amount and sends it in the email. So that's what the delay is there for, and then we just have a send email step. And so then basically you'll go ahead and select send email, and then you'll select if you need to limit it by association label, you can. I've got all associated contacts being selected, and then the email itself, I call it estimate received. So that's what you're going to send. And then this delay I have for 2 minutes. Really, you'll probably put it in for like 2 days or a day or something like that. And then basically it's going to branch to say if it's still in estimate requested, that means that no one's moved it essentially. There's probably, some better ways to do it, but it would require that deal in HubSpot to be moved a stage. And if it's still in that stage, it'll send the follow-up. If it's not in the estimate requested stage, it'll just go down this none met path and do nothing. We have a separate email for an estimate follow-up. And so it's basically, again, asking, do you want monthly cleaning services? Do you want bi-weekly? And that type of thing. So that's all we're after in the estimate portion, is to get them to commit or indicate how frequently they want to receive cleaning services. Then we have our follow-up. So that's basically that follow-up path that we were just looking at. This is a link to that email, and then this is a link to the same workflow that we were just looking at. So there's that piece. And then the last piece of this video or this portion is the quote itself. So you have the ability to create quote templates, and then we're going to send that quote template with an email. So the quote template, if we hop into HubSpot, maybe. This is what it looks like from the edit portion. Again, kind of similar to building out a website or building your email, kind of drag and drop functionality to an extent. You're kind of, I say that you're pretty limited to the what's available here on the left, but you can hover over something and hide that module if you don't want to use it. As you click on something, you'll see more optionality, more functionality to really customize and make this prettier than it actually is. So yeah, you put in your logo, terms, it'll pull in line items from the deal and stuff like that. In order to get there, um, you'll go to your settings portion, objects, and quotes, and then select the quote templates tab. And then, yeah, essentially from there, you can do a customized quote template. You can, yeah, just build it out as needed. So that's the quote piece. And then the email template, we also set up. And so basically, we've got hi with a name replace. Thanks again, some verbiage, a placeholder to kind of insert the quote. And then we've got a name replace for the sender's name. And yeah, that's how we have it built out there. You customize the subject. In order to get there to these email templates, you'll be in the CRM on the left and then the templates option. So let's kind of use it in action. We had one that came through earlier. And so if we hop over into deals, here is our cleaning pipeline. Which one did we have? I think it was maybe this one. And so this is whenever it comes in through the Zap and that type of thing, it's going to land in the estimate requested stage. And then once they respond, you'll update essentially the line items to whatever frequency they want. So down here on the right, you would come in here and click edit and then update the billing frequency to whatever frequency they want. And then if they do that every 2 weeks, right now it's a manual discount application. You can get a little more fancy with some of this stuff too, to have discounts built out. But in this case, if they were doing bi-weekly, we would give them say a $15 off each clean as a enticement to get them to receive our cleaning services more often. So then essentially, once you have that done, you'll click save. Go ahead and update the deal amount. And then from here, you can create the quote. So you can hit this create quote, or you can do it from the deal. We'll go ahead and create the quote from here. You should have the contact and stuff already associated. That was done with the Zap or the automation. And then click next, next. Verify your line items. They should all be good to go. We've got our every 2 weeks, our $15 discount for the standard clean. And then this piece, the way that we're going to do it is we're just going to collect signatures here, and then we're going to collect payment after the cleaning is actually occurs. But you do have the optionality to collect payments from the quote itself, so that's something to consider. But whenever you do this, use e-signature. You can select who all needs to sign. In this case, if we just have one person, we'll select that one person to go ahead and sign it. Then we'll click next. You can put in comments to buyer, purchase terms, change the expiration date. Yep, all that. And then you get one chance to review it. If you need to recall and edit a quote, you always can after the fact. But yep, so then we'll create that quote. Write email with quote, or you can copy the link. What we're going to do is we'll just go ahead and close, go back to the deal. We'll click on the email tab or the email button to write that email. And then we've got a template built out. We've got our Shine and Smile template folder. And we're going to do the quote send. So go ahead and select that. So like you can see, we have the person that's associated with the deal. It's sending it to them. We have the name replace that occurred. Everything else, the sender name was replaced as well. So what we'll go ahead and do is we would maybe probably want to update this instead of view my quote. Go ahead and put like sign my quote, sign your quote. And then what we can do is we can highlight that text and select the quote that we just created. If we were to click on it and view it, you can see that it has our standard clean, fridge clean, oven clean, our $15 discount applied, and all that. So that's pretty much it. Then you go ahead and send your email. You can schedule it to send later. But then within less than 5 minutes, you can essentially receive a response of how often someone wants their cleaning services made, and go ahead and update that in the line items on the deal. And with a couple clicks, send the quote to them and carry on. So that's the pre-sale services or pre-sale touch points from our map. I'm not going to get into blogging per se in this situation, and I'm not really going to get into the social media aspect of things, but all that has some capability within HubSpot as well. In the next video, we'll talk about the point of sale touch points, and then we'll close it out in another video with the post-sale touch points. Bye for now.